Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Desktop Center Training. I would like to thank everyone for joining the webinar in your busy schedule today. Before we proceed, I would like to check whether you all can hear my voice and view the presentation. So it'd be great if you all can confirm that by commenting on chat. I'll be waiting for your confirmation to proceed further. Thank you all for the confirmation. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abraham Devaraj, and I have 5 years of IT industry experience. So I'll be the presenter for today's session, and I'm going to demonstrate about asset management. Okay, let's have a quick look at the training schedule. As you all know, this is a 7 week training series. Now we are in the 3rd week of the training schedule now. And all these trainings will be recorded and can be easily accessed in the below mentioned website, desktopcenter.com/training.html. In case if you missed the previous training modules, you can use this link and download the videos there. Even all registered participants will be receiving the recorded videos via email. Okay, let's move ahead. And so today's topic is asset management. So before we start the training, I would like to share the agenda of today's training. So we'll first start with the overview and architecture of asset management, and we'll see how it works in the background. And next, we'll discuss on a few real-time examples. So this whole webinar is going to be on problem and solution approach. So the first real-time example that I have taken is managing Office 365 licenses, where we can see how we can manage licenses for applications. And also, we'll see how we can control bandwidth spikes and non-standard applications in our environment with tools. And also, we'll discuss in detail about various reports available in Desktop Central Asset Management pertaining to the scenario of planning for Windows 10 upgrade. Followed with that, we'll be discussing on a few other interesting scenarios and solutions as well that we came across in our support experience. So during this session, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to type your questions in chat. We have an expert panel available here who will answer your questions. Also, by the end of the session, we will discuss on a few commonly asked questions. Okay, supported operating systems. So Desktop Central Asset Management supports all 3 major operating systems, which is Windows, Macintosh, and Linux. And we also have large customer base who contributes to our community. And with the help of them, we are categorizing the applications as commercial automatically. So right now, we have 13,000 and growing applications supported in Desktop Central, which are automatically marked as commercial. So let's have a quick look at the architecture of Desktop Central before we move further into asset management. So as you might all know, Desktop Central is an on-premises solution, and this is a client-server-based application. So agents should be installed in order to manage the client machines. In Desktop Central, we can manage desktops, laptops, servers, and even Surface devices. So agents can be installed on the client machines through multiple ways. First, from the console, you can push the agent to the client machines, or even you can download and install the agent manually or by script deployment. Also, you can install agents via Windows G policies. So if you're using Active Directory in your Windows network, you should be able to leverage that by deploying agents using group policy. Okay. So you can manage machines in LAN and WAN network. So when it comes to WAN network, you can effectively manage them using distribution server. So what is this distribution server? So for example, if you're managing more than 10 machines in a remote site, and if you have concerns with bandwidth, then you can use distribution server. So when a patch or a software task is created for the machines, which is available in this remote office, the client machines will not directly communicate to the server to download the patches or software packages. Instead, the distribution server alone will contact the server and replicate the patches and then it will distribute them to the client machines in that specific location. So this feature helps you to manage the bandwidth efficiently. Okay. And even roaming users can be managed with Desktop Center. So we call them as roaming users because they move from one location to another location frequently. So to manage this users efficiently, you can use a NATing functionality like network address translation, and you can expose your main server to internet. Even if that is not possible, you can place your Desktop Center server in DMZ. Also, I presume everybody knows about DMZ. So it is where you can place your server in secure hosting so that client machines can reach the server in a secure way. Right. Okay. Right. So in previous slide we see we do have option to place the server in DMZ. But what if I don't have an option to place a server in DMZ? In this case, I can use the option called forwarding server. So what is this forwarding server? Forwarding server acts as a secure gateway server between the roaming agents and the Desktop Center server. So any communication from the roaming agents to the Desktop Center server will be routed only through this forwarding server. So this makes the communication more secure. Right. So we also have option to place the Desktop Center server in Azure or in AWS Marketplace. So there are advantages placing a server in cloud. For example, if you manage more roaming users, having the server in cloud will be an added advantage. Also, it's a cost-effective solution. So if you're placing the device in cloud, you can avoid the hardware infrastructure and its maintenance cost. If you are a managed service providers, so this will be helpful for you. So you can manage multiple customers' environment in cloud easily. So Desktop Center will be available in cloud very soon. As of now, we have released the cloud version for another ManageEngine product, which is Patch Manager Plus. Okay, so these are all the components of Desktop Center. Right. So we already have discussed about the server, agent, distribution server, and forwarding server. Notification server is another important component which plays a very important role in any on-demand tasks like remote control, on-demand scans, and all that. So we'll discuss that in detail later. Failover server is another optional and important component available. So this brings in an additional server which will actively monitor the primary server, and it takes over when the primary server fails. So this feature helps you in eliminating the downtime in your business. Okay, so here are the ports used by Desktop Center. So we recommend you to open the required ports shown here in order to use the specific features with Desktop Center. For example, voice and video chat, which is one of the features associated with this product, works in UDP port, which is 8443. And agent server communication happens in HTTP port, which is 8020. And likewise, server to agent notification happens in TCP port, which is 8027. Even agent server communication can be made to happen securely in this port 8383, which is going to be HTTP secure port. So to know more about these ports, you can visit this website, desktopcenter.com ports, where you'll have the details. Okay, right. So that's all about ports. So let's move further and discuss about 90 minutes refresh policy. Desktop Center's architecture is scalable to manage even large computers, large networks, up to 20,000 machines. So this is possible because of this 90 minutes refresh policy that we have. So what is this 90 minutes refresh policy? Let me explain this in simple terms. So Desktop Center agents will contact the server at every 90 minutes. So this is called agent refresh cycle. So this feature ensures that all computers in the network contact the server periodically. So by having these two factors are ensured here, network is not choked by the agent server communication, meaning bandwidth is not disturbed due to agent server communication. Even the performance of the server is also not impacted at any time. So Desktop Central Server has intelligence to ensure systematic and streamlined communication from all agents to the regular interval. So that's an advantage of using 90 minutes versus policy. For example, in a network of 90 computers, only one computer will reach out to the Desktop Central Server every minute. Similarly, if you're managing 900 computers in your network, 10 computers will reach the server per minute. For larger networks like 9,000 machines, 100 computers will reach the Desktop Central Server per minute. So using this feature, agents can communicate with the server without any hesitation or issues. Okay, right. So till now, we have discussed about the general architecture of Desktop Central. So now we'll move on and discuss about asset management in detail. So first, let's see, why do enterprise need asset management? So it's a general question. So in simple terms, asset management is required to manage all IT assets. For example, to find the number of hardware or software installed in my network, or to find types of hardware or softwares in my network, to manage software licenses, or to see if there is any usage of unauthorized applications in my network, or even I can track the usage of a software using this asset management, and also to get some comprehensive reports based on my requirements. So these are all the basic requirements when it comes to asset management in an enterprise. So we'll further discuss about the other features available in Desktop Central Asset Management. Before we move further, I would like to have a quick discussion about overview of asset management, so how it actually works in the background. Okay, so this is the architecture diagram of Desktop Central's asset management. So as we discussed before, we need to install agents on all the client machines first. So whenever you install agents on the client machines, Desktop Central agent automatically runs two scans. First is patch scan and second is asset scan. As you're into asset management, we'll see about asset scan in detail. So asset scan is very much important for asset management. So when a scan is performed first time after the agent installation, it takes the complete data of the computer, which includes hardware, software, and other details about the computer, and it will post the data to the server. So this is called full scan or complete scan. Moving further, we can also initiate scan from the server, which is called on-demand scan. So when you initiate an on-demand scan from the server, the on-demand scan request will be sent over to the client machines. So the Desktop Central agent in the client machines will initiate the scan, and after the scan, it will post the data to the server. But interestingly, it will not post the complete data again. Instead, it will only post the changes made from the last successful scan. So this subsequent scans are called differential scans, so which is posting only differential data. Right. So agent has the intelligence to compare the old scan and the data between the old scan and the new scan and post the difference to it. So this would drastically reduce the bandwidth being utilized by the Desktop Central agent for posting the data. So that's the main advantage of using this differential scan. Right. Do we need to manually initiate a scan, like an on-demand scan manually all the time? No, we have option to schedule the scan as well. So we call that as scheduled scan. Okay, to explain this better, let me log into the console and show you the options available in scanning. So here's the console. So I'm clicking on Inventory tab and I'm clicking on Scan Systems tabs available here. So this will list me the list of computers that I'm managing, so I can see all the computers over here. So as I told you before, if I need to enable or if I need to trigger an on-demand scan, I can choose any specific computers from this list and I can initiate the scan by click on Scan Systems. If I wanted to initiate the scan on all the machines, I can simply click on Scan All, so which will initiate the scan and perform a scan on all the machines. So this is called on-demand scan. Okay, so during a scan, what are all the data that we collect? So that would be the one valid question that you might ask. So during the scan, we collect the details about the hardware, software, and even we collect the information about the antivirus details, USB usage, and everything will be captured over here. How do we collect the data? So we collect the data from WMI and from registry values. So this is for Windows, and when it comes to Mac and Linux, we run some quick commands on the client machines, and we will pull the data and we'll post it to the server. Right. So this is all about on-demand scan. Right. So we have different views available here. So the computer view, where you can see the details of the computer, and if I wanted to see any specific information about the specific computer, I can click on this and I can export any kinds of data, or I can export the complete PDF over here by using this option. If not, if I wanted to export a hardware-based report, I can go for this hardware view and I can see what kind of hardware that I'm using, and I can export it as a report over here. So I can even add or remove any columns that I need. I can use this drop downs to filter any specific hardware type that I have. Likewise, if I wanted to check a specific application, I can go for software view and I can see what softwares are being installed, right, and which machines has the specific softwares installed. If I wanted to generate a report on a specific application, then I can click on application and I can see what machines are actually using it and all that. Okay, right. So this is all about the data that we collect in scan and how scan perform. As I told you before, there is another option called scan, schedule scan. So you don't have to manually initiate a scan like on-demand scan every time. You can just schedule a task over here, and this task will automatically trigger a scan and post the data to the server. So this is an added advantage. So you don't have to manually do a scan periodically. So you can schedule a task here, and you can enable the schedule, and you can set the frequency. So when I need to perform the scan, so daily or weekly basis or monthly basis, and I can set a time here. So what happens when I schedule a scan over here? So when I schedule a scan, a small ID will be generated, and it will be passed on to the client machine. So the client machines will do the scan at that particular time, and it will post the data to the server. Okay, so the client machines will not immediately post the data to the server. So this task will collect the entire scan data for all the machines, and it will post the data to the server. Okay, so that is how we will handle this automatic scan. And even we have another option called file scan. So this file scan enables you an option to capture the files available in my computer. So it is similar settings over here, but we do capture files available in my computer. When I say files, documents, video files, audio files, and everything can be easily captured over here. So this is the file details over here. So I can choose this usage of the disk space based on this files over here. Even I have a report sections available where I have invented reports in which I can see file scan report. I can use this report to see the files based on the category. I can select the category and I can export any kinds of reports. If not, I can use the other option available here called file details by extension. So this will help me to get any details based on the extension. So these are all the available options here. Okay, so in case if you have any requirements based on this file scan and all that, you can definitely send your requirements in the chat, so our technicians will make a note of it and help you further on that. Okay, so let's move back to this presentation. So far we have discussed about what happens exactly during a scan and why do we need a scan and what kind of data that we collect and the different types of scan that we do on the client machines. So hope you all understand the architecture that we discussed. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat. Our expert team will answer the questions. Okay, let's move further. So we'll discuss on important uses of asset management with few real-time examples moving further. So here's the first use case that I have taken, which is managing Office 365 license. Okay, right. So managing software license is one of the important aspects in an asset management. So this helps an enterprise and an administrator to ensure that the enterprise, the network, the computers are being in compliant, and also in planning for additional purchases of licenses during renewals and all that. So let me show you a few basic details about license management and console for better understanding before we proceed further. Okay, so I click on Inventory tab again, and I click on Manage Licenses here. So this is the option which helps you to manage licenses for all the applications that I'm going to manage. Right. So I can import I can import the details of the licenses using two methods away here. So I can manually add the license details by using this Add License option. And so here, if the application that I wanted to add the license to is already installed, I can simply click on Select Application, and I can choose the application from this list, and I can add the details of the application. So if I want to add the license count as 10 or 50 or whatever it is, I can add it. I can provide the owner details, the version details. So like license 2 or purchase date of the license, expiry date of the license, everything can be added here. Even we have options to associate the computers if we already have a list of computers that I wanted to associate this license to. So this is option. And what if I don't have the application already installed? So I wanted to install an application in future. So how do I add a license for that? It's simple. Again, I can click on Add License. I don't want to use this option since it is only for the applications which is already installed. So I can manually type any application name here. So consider that I'm typing as AutoCAD, and I can find the manufacturer as Autodesk and all that. So all this can be easily managed over here. So this is how I can add the license to a computer or an application which is not already installed in my network. And this is feasible if I'm going to add the license for one or more applications here. But what if I wanted to add applications for a lot more applications at a single time? So in that case, I can go for import from CSV option. So you don't have to worry. We already have provided the sample CSV format available. So all you need to do is you need to prepare a CSV format with this specific values like columns in it, and you can add the required details, and you can import the details by using this option. So automatically the data will be imported over here. So you can choose a license file and I can import it. So this option is also feasible over here. So this is all about the general information about managed licenses. And one more thing is, so you can export this report anytime for your compliance reporting functionality. And also you have this option like compliance status. So where you have three different options. So one is over license. So which says that I have purchased 192 license for this particular application, and I have used only one license as of now. So I have 191 license remaining. So which means that I have extra licenses. So we call that as over license. Okay, so there is another status called in compliance, which means that I have purchased 20 licenses for this application, and I have used all the 20 licenses, which means that the remaining is 0, so which means it is in compliance. And I also see another option here called under license. Okay, as name implies, if I'm using more, if I'm installing application, consider that I'm purchasing a license for only 150 computers, but I have installed the application on 151 computers. So this is against the license compliance. So I need to check the machines which has this application installed, and I can uninstall the application from any one machine to make this compliant again. So this is all about the managed licenses in general. Okay, coming back to our scenario. Okay, so to explain the other functionalities in managed licenses, let me take a scenario here. So I'm already managing 20 licenses for Office 365 application, and all those 20 licenses are all already allocated to the 20 users in my environment. So all those 20 users are listed over here. Okay, but suddenly my HR team has informed me that a new 5-member team is joining, and they also need this Office application because they belong to finance team. Okay, so this is a challenging situation for me. So I only have 20 licenses, and it's already been allocated to the users. So how I can manage the situation? So I only have 2 options here. So one is I need to procure additional licenses for this Office 365, and I need to allocate that to the new users. Or I need to revoke the license from any users, right, in this 20, and I need to allocate them to the new users. Okay, let's assume that I have opted for the first option, where I already raised the request to my management to procure additional licenses. They have purchased additional licenses, and I have the license details with me, and I need to add that. So how do I add the license details? So here I have this option called Actions. So in this here, I can click on this icon, and I can click on Add More. So this will provide me an option to add the additional licenses for the same application over here. So I can add additional 5 licenses over here, and I can add the additional details and click on Save. So this will automatically add additional licenses, and I have 5 licenses remaining. So now I can go ahead and install the application for the additional users, and I can allocate that. So that is how we can manage this. Okay, so let me remove this again. I can remove this or modify this later if I need. Okay, so assume that I am opting the second option. So in this case, I don't have an option to purchase or procure additional licenses. In this case, how can I manage this? So the only option that I have here is I need to see or revoke any licenses from any of this existing 20 users, and I need to allocate them to the new users. How do I do that? So it is not feasible for me to talk with all the users and check if they are using this application efficiently and all that. So instead, I can use the software metering option available in Desktop Central to monitor whether the users are using the application efficiently. Right? It's simple. Let me quickly give you a quick background on software metering. So it's simple. You first need to add a rule to monitor the usage of application. So when I say rule, it's simple. You can choose the application from this list, okay, and you can add the rule name for your reference, and you can choose a file name. So file name is something that the installer file, so the exe file, which is responsible for that specific application. So I can check that on my machine or on any one of the user machine and see what is the exact exe name, because we calculate the usage based on the usage of that specific exe. So we calculate the usage based on the opening of the exe and the closing of the exe. So that is how we calculate it. So I can provide additional details if I need. And let me show you the predefined rule here. Okay, so this is a rule that I have already created for monitoring the usage of Word application. So this is the exe file that I have provided, and I can monitor it. Okay, so as soon as I add a rule, okay, so on the subsequent refresh cycle, agents will talk to the server, will know that I have configured a new policy for monitoring the exe, and it will pick this task and it will start monitoring the usage of that specific exe. So then, by end of the day, by end of each day, it will post the entire report over here. So it will only post the data at the end of the day. So it will collect all the data and it will post the data. Okay, so this is how the summary report will look like. So I can see the details. So how many users are using it, and the usage count, the usage duration, total usage durations, and all that. But how do I find which user is using that more and which user is not using this more? So I can simply click on this number, which will provide me the individual user data. So as you see here, almost all are using this application efficiently, but I do have this computer which is using only 2 times, and also I do see another computer which is using only the 3 times. So now I can talk to this user alone, and I can revoke the license. I can uninstall the application, and I can revoke the license, and I can install the application to the new users, and I can allocate the license to them. So this is how I can use the software metering to monitor the usage of the application. In case if I am using any most expensive application in my network, I can use this functionality to see if that specific application is being utilized by my users efficiently. If not, I can cut short the license in the next renewal cycle. So these are all the advantages of using this software metering and managed licenses. Okay, right. So now we have come to the end of the first real-time example. So if you guys have any questions on this first real-time example, please feel free to type the questions in chat. Our expert panel will answer questions. Okay, so here's the next real-time example that I have taken, which is controlling bandwidth spikes and non-standard applications. Okay, so let's assume that I'm an administrator, and in my last admin meeting, there are 2 important concerns raised to me by network security team. So first is a considerable amount of bandwidth is being consumed by the desktops in my network. And the second concern was like unauthorized applications are being used by my computers, the computers in my network. Right, as an administrator, it's my responsibility to address the situation. So to get, first I need to get a report from my network security team to check the details on this further. So when I check the report, I do see that I found an application called Torrent, right? It's been used by my users in my environment. So which is causing this bandwidth spikes. Okay, so now I need to find the machines which are all using this specific application called Torrent or any of those applications. So how do I find that? So we do have an option called report, and in this report we have an option called computers without a specific software. I can use this specific report, and I can generate a report to see who are using this specific application called Torrent. So I can filter this report based on the entire domain, or for all the domains, or to a specific domains, or to a specific branch office, or I can filter it based on the custom group. So for now, I choose the entire computers that I'm managing. And so here is the criteria that I can choose. So I can choose equal or does not equal, like, not like. Okay, if I know the entire or the exact name of the application, I can use the name here by choosing this option, equal. So I'm clicking on here, and I can click on generate report. Okay, unfortunately, I couldn't find it. So probably I'm not typing the name correctly. So I will go here and use this option like, and I'll type this option and I click on generate. So I do have, see that 151 users are using this application. So this is quite large number, and this is going to impact my bandwidth, obviously. So I need to take necessary actions to prevent this from happening. So there are 2 things that I need to do as of now. So one is the corrective measure. So I need to uninstall the unauthorized application from the computers who are using this application. And the second is I need to monitor if any users are installing this application again. I need to uninstall it. So these are the 2 challenging scenarios that I have. Okay, let me show you how I can handle this with the available options in inventory here. Okay, so what are the options available for me to handle the situation? So the first option available here is prohibit software. Okay, So before I move further into this, let me show you a quick background and all that. Let us discuss about the architecture, how this prohibited software works. So this is how the prohibited software is going to work. So first, I need to add a rule that what applications are being considered as prohibited software. And next, the same rule will be applied to the client missions on the next refresh cycle. So the agent will automatically check if there is any prohibited software is available in the specific computer, and it will post the status to the server, as well as it will notify a small pop-up message during the user logon. So this is how the pop-up message will look like. Okay, so next, as an administrator, I need to perform the operations to limit the usage of it. So I have three options here. I can configure a task to automatically uninstall the software, or I can tell the users to uninstall the application by themselves. Or otherwise, if the user is going to need it for some other purpose, I can allow them to send a request to me so that I can approve or deny based on the reason that they're going to provide, and I can add them to the exclusion list. So this is the basic workflow of prohibited software. So let's see how it practically works. So this is a prohibited software tab available. So I already found that the torrent is the application that I want to prohibit. So I can click on add prohibit software, and I can use this option to search for the application, and I can mark the application as a prohibited software. So I already added that. So now that I do see that 150 computers are using this specific application, so I need to handle this in an effective way. So first, I need to configure an auto uninstall policy so that I can automatically uninstall this application from all the machines. Okay. So before I configure this policy, I have this option called uninstallation command. All right. So what is this uninstallation command? So in the software deployment, you might have already come across this term. So uninstallation command is something which will be used for uninstalling the specific application silently during the reboot of the computer. So during the boot, the application will be uninstalled silently. So I can specify the silent switches over here. So I do have two options: pre-filled uninstallation command. So this is a pre-filled uninstallation command, and I can add only the silent switch. Or if I wanted to specify the entire command, I can specify the entire command along with the exe file names over here. So this is like adding the silent switch. So what is the use of adding the silent switch? Again, if I configure an auto uninstall policy to automatically uninstall the application, so during the next reboot of the same machine, the application will be automatically uninstalled. To silently uninstall the application, we need this silent switches. Okay. Right. So let's discuss about how I can configure the auto uninstall policy. So I can enable this option over here, and I can choose how many number of prohibited softwares can I uninstall in that specific reboot. Right. So we recommend you to keep that number 5 or below 5, because if you're increasing the number, and so the boot time of the computer will be increased. So that will be a panic situation for the end user. So we recommend to keep that below 5 or 5. And you can use this option to tell the users in an alert that after 3 days, this application is going to be uninstalled. So I can configure my own message over here. Okay, so this is one situation. So without checking with the user, I can uninstall the application. So what if my manager is using this application for some other valid purpose? Okay, I cannot simply go ahead and configure an uninstall policy, and I cannot trigger an uninstallation from my manager's computer. In that case, I can use the global exclusion option here, and I can add the custom group over here. So we have an option called custom group. So first, let me show you what this custom group is. So I'll open the admin tab, and I'll go to custom group. So here, I have an option to create any number of custom groups. So custom groups is nothing but it is like grouping of the computers or the users based on my requirement. So I choose the type of the custom group that I wanted to use. I can specify a name, and I can add the specific computers manually, or I can use the dynamic option, and I can set any criteria to add the computers automatically. So these are all the details about custom groups. So consider that I already have a custom group for the managers, right? IT managers and all that. I need to create a global exclusion for those computers, computers who are in that specific group. So I can use two options over here. I can use a custom group, or I can choose individual computers to exclude them. So what is the meaning of global exclusion? Global exclusion means, so this exclusion is applicable for all the prohibited applications, so not for one prohibited application. Okay, right, but what if I wanted to exclude only specific application to a specific user or a manager or a custom group? So I can use this exclusion list, which is specifically for that application, and I can add the exclusion list over here by using this option as we did before. So this particular application will not be marked as prohibited software for that specific group of computers. So that's an advantage of using this individual exclusion list. Okay, right. So if I configure an auto uninstall policy, I can see this status of the uninstallation using this option. I can go for a detailed view, and I can see the status of it. If there is any failure, I can see the remarks why it is failed. Right, so it says the silent switch is not provided properly, so I need to provide the silent switch, and I can do that. So on the next reboot, automatically the application will be uninstalled. Okay, right, and this will give me the computers which has the any prohibited software installed. So this will help me for an auditing purpose. I can export it as a report. Okay, right. As it's shown you before, this is the screen that the end user can see, and the applications which are prohibited will be listed over here. So if I see, if I'm an end user, if I know that this application has to be used for a specific purpose, so I can type in the reason over here, and I can send the request to my administrator. So the request will automatically populate over here, so the user request. So I can use this actions tab, and I can approve or deny based on this option available. So I can check the details, and I can approve or deny it. So if I'm denied or approving it, I will be able to see the history over here in this list, and I can generate it. So these options are helpful for me to get any reports over here. Okay, so that is all about prohibited software. Okay, but all this is feasible if the application is already installed in my network, because we are capturing the install application details with the registry values and all that. But what if the application is not installed, and if a specific application, like an SCP application, is being used by one of my users, and which is not available in add or remove programs? So how do I handle that? So in that situation, I can use this option called block executable, and I can add a policy over here again to a specific custom group or to all computers group, which is by default, and I can add the executables over here. So I can add the executables based on the path over here. So I can give the name of the application over here, and I can specify the exe name, and I can add it. So as soon as I add the policy over here, so the policy will be applied to the end user's computer on the next refresh cycle, and the specific application will be blocked over here. Okay, so consider, so this is the application that I'm blocking it. So I'm providing the exe name, and I'm blocking it. Okay, so there are cases where the user might change the name of the exe and try to run that application in a different name. Okay, so consider they have changed the different name and we are running it. But this policy would have been restrict only based on the exe name. Okay, so in that case, to avoid this scenario, I can go for another option called block rule as path over here, right? So sorry, the hash value over here. So in this case, I can upload the exe file name. So automatically it will detect the hash values. And based on this hash values, we will be able to block the execution of the exe, even the file name is changed. So this is an advantage of using this block executable. Okay, so this is a corrective action. So I can see who are using the prohibited softwares, and I can uninstall it and all that. But what if the user is installing the application again? Okay, do I have any mechanism to see if the user is installing the application again? Yes, we do have the option called alerts here. So this is called another scan. So this is called an intelligent scan. So if there is any changes in the hardware or the software level on the end user's computer, automatically a scan will be triggered and the details will be posted over here. So in this view, we will only capture what changes were done recently. So allow software uninstall. So even we have this option to filter based on it. So if I see this option like prohibit software installed, I can click on it and I can see this prohibited software is being installed. So on which machine, right? So I can export this as a report. But this is going to be a manual process for me. So I need to manually go ahead and export this as a report. But do I have any automatic alert systems for this? Yes, we definitely have an option for that. We have this option called configure email alert. So we have two sections of alerts that you can configure. One is hardware based and next is software based. So as you see here, this is all I wanted to do. So if any changes or any installation is happening, automatically an email will be triggered to me. Or if I am already integrating my server with SDP, which is a ticketing tool, a ticket will be automatically triggered. Okay, so this is for software categories, but for the hardware, we have even more customization. So you can see if I can configure what kind of alerts that I want to receive. So if an hardware is added or removed, I can get an alert and all that. So likewise, you can configure this for all other applications available here. Okay. So now we have come to the end of the second scenario over here. So hope you guys understood the scenario and the options available. If you guys have any questions pertaining to this scenario, feel free to type the questions in chat. Okay. So let us move on to the next module, which is planning Windows 10 upgrade. Okay, in my organization, they have decided to upgrade my operating systems to Windows 10. So they requested me to generate a report to find the eligible machines or the machines which are in warranty and all that. So I found the system requirements. So which is like, so, you know, the 100 GB is the minimum hard drive capacity and the RAM has to be 4 GB and all that. So this is all I know. That do I have an option to export a report to see the eligible machines? Yes, of course we do. So you can go to report section and I can go to inventory tab. So these reports are called as predefined reports. So you can click on any kinds of reports available and you can export any report. So this is called predefined reports. For instance, if you wanted to see what are all the machines which do not have Windows 10 operating systems, I can export it over here and I can set this, right? Set any filters over here based on the groups. I can set this option here. So these are all the Windows 8 computers, or these are all the Mac computers, or these are all the Windows 7 computers. So now that I'm planning to upgrade the Windows 7 and Windows 8 computers to Windows 10 now, so I can export specific reports for it and I can generate it. So likewise, I can export other reports as well. So like computers by memory, so where I can see the RAM configured on that specific computers, so less than 512 MB or more than 40 GB and all that can be easily exported over here. But the limitation here is I may have to generate different set of reports to see the details over here. So likewise, if I wanted to check the disk usage, I need to go for a special kind of report. I need to export it. Okay. Is there an option for me to generate a single report where I can collect all those information with the criteria that I have, and I can generate a report and I can provide that to my management? Yes, of course, we have this option called custom reports. So using this custom report, you can build any kinds of report that you want. So not only that, you can even set your own criteria, filters over here. So pertaining to the scenario that we are discussing on, so I'm planning to upgrade a Windows 10 computers to Windows 10 now. So I know the criteria that I already set the criteria over here. So the physical memory has to be 4 GB or 4 GB, and also I can see the disk space has to be more than 100 GB, and I can choose the columns that I want to get in the report, and I can run this report and I can export it. So this is all about the reports, the custom reports and all that. Okay, so now I provide this reports to my management and they are okay to upgrade this to it. But they also telling me that they need to upgrade only based on the departments. So they wanted to do the department-wise upgrade. So in that case, I can go for this Active Directory reports. So this is a special kind of reports. So if I already have added my Active Directory details, like the domain details, I can enable a scheduled synchronization with my Active Directory, or I can do a manual synchronization with my Active Directory over here. So after I do a synchronization, I'll be able to generate any kinds of Active Directory reports over here. So we almost provide all basic Active Directory reports over here. So now that I only need OU-based report. So I can go here, I can use this all OUs report, and I can export the report to see how many computers are available in each OUs. But again, this is not going to serve my need, because my management needs a single report which is going to tell me like how many machines are available in a particular OU which are eligible for Windows 10 upgrade. How do I do that now? So in this case, I can go for a query report. The query report is an option. It's simple. I can just write a SQL query, right? And I can generate any reports over here. So if you need assistance in writing a query, it's simple. You can request us using this form over here. So we will help you in generating any kinds of query that you need. And so now that, assume that I already have a query, then I can execute my query and I can generate this report and I can export this as a PDF over here. So this is all about reporting functionalities. So let's also have a quick look about the other useful reports in this report section. So we have options like security details. So if I wanted to see what kind of antivirus, if this antivirus is enabled on my computers, right, what kind of antivirus it is, everything can be easily tracked over here. And we already see in this about the file scan reports by category and all that. And even if I wanted to check the warranty details of the computer, I can check it. So I can export this report to see the computers which already have expired, right? And also I do see this option to see soon to expire warranties. So these are all the computers whose warranty is going to be expired, will be expired. So this is the expiry date of this computers. So these are all the general predefined reports that I can use at this moment. Okay, right. And not only this, so far we have discussed about the different reports, the query report, custom report, and predefined reports. But all these reports, I need to manually export this as a report. But what if I wanted to get this report automatically generated and sent to my email, in a certain time, like so on a weekly basis or monthly basis or daily basis? Do I have an option for that? Yes, we do have an option called scheduled reports available. So using this option, I can schedule any kinds of report over here. Okay, so I can choose even multiple reports, and I can set my criteria over here like we did for the custom report. I can add multiple criteria, and I can schedule all these reports. So this is the delivery and the recipient option. So I can choose what format this report has to be sent to me, and I can use these options like so whether I need to use this as an attachment, or I need to zip the files and send it to me, or I even have an option to publish this as an URL in my email so that I can access it directly. I can type the recipient email address and the content that I want to use, and I can configure the scheduler option here. So daily basis, only once, and all that. The advantage here is even you can schedule a query report or a custom report. So I can even schedule this report to be automatically sent. So if there is any changes in the report, I will automatically get notified through email. So this is helpful for me in reports. So that is all about the third real-time example. So if you have any questions, you can let us know through chat. Okay, so far we have discussed on the asset management and how the asset management can be used and all that with the different. In this section, we'll discuss about other interesting scenarios and solutions that we came across in our support experience. Okay, so let's move ahead. And so first scenario that I have taken is, so I want to add additional information about my computer to the asset data. Is this possible? Yes, of course, it is possible. So as I told you before, we normally capture the details during the scan from the WMI registry values, and all those details will be available in the reports or in this views available here. But if I wanted to add any new data to my computers, then I can use this edit option available next here, and I can add these details. I can add the computer location, owner details, search tag if there is any, or owner email address, shipping date and expiry can be added over here. And additional information can also be added as a note over here, right? So if I wanted to add this information in a bulk, I can use this option, bulk update, right? I can use this option, can easily add the details over here. But even if this is not feasible for me, I can simply use this import CSV option. I can use the same format specified over here. I can generate a CSV file and I can upload it directly over here as a CSV file. So this can also be achieved. Okay, right. So let's move on to the second scenario. So we have an IT policy of decommissioning the systems every 5 years. So how do I get the list of those computers? Okay, yes, we do have this option here. In this report section, we have option to check the computers by age. Okay, so this report will instantly give me the details based on the requirement, so I can see the details, right? So this are all the computers set up on 2011 or 2013, and these are all the computers set up on 2014. So this information are captured from WMI, and the WMA obviously capturing this information from BIOS details. Okay, right. So let's move further to the next scenario. So shared directories with write access is a security threat. Can we identify them? Yes, of course, we have an option for that. We have the predefined report also available here, so which is called share details. So in the inventory reports. So this will give me the details about the reports, the shares created and the permissions users have to that specific share. So for now I do see that a specific user is having full rights to this, full access to the specific shared drive. And if I want to restrict, I can restrict it. So this is okay. So next is scenario 4. So Dropbox is installed at the user level. So I would like to get the list of computers that have it installed. How do I identify it? Okay, right. So this is another useful and interesting scenario here. So consider that there are few applications which will be installed only into that user profile. So Dropbox is one of that kind. So if I have that application installed, I will not be able to see or see the general report to see if the application is installed. But if I go to the reports and go to inventory tab, I can use this option user specific software. So this will show me what are all the user specific software in my network and the installation count. So I can go for the detailed view to see which user is using this specific application, and I can see the user account over here. So this will help me to validate it based on my requirement. Okay. So scenario 5. So I want to generate an inventory report for Mac computers. What details that I can see on that report? Okay, yes. So previously we have seen so what details that we collect for Windows-based computers and all that. Right. So let's go to the computers list again, and let me show you what we collect for the Mac computers. So let me filter this for the Mac computers from this graph. So these are all the Mac computers that I have. I can click on the computer name and I can see what kind of information that we collect. So basically it's summary of the Mac computer details. This is hardware details, hard disk, network adapters, right? Primary, physical memory, processors, video controllers, even software installed on that specific computers will be listed over here. I can filter it. I can export the specific hardware or report, software report from here, or I can export the entire report for this computers using this export PDF option. So this is all the reports that you see on it for the Mac-based computers. Scenario number 6. So I want to identify the computers with local administrator accounts. Yes, of course, this is also possible. So you can go to reports, inventory reports again, and you can use this option like system group users. So this will help me to generate a report the users in the administrator group over here. Okay, so I can even change the group name and I can browse for it based on my requirement. So this is another important report that I can use. Okay, so now we have come to the end of the scenario section. So let's move on to the questions section here. So the first question here is, do we need to install both Asset Explorer agent and the Desktop Central agent in all systems? We are having Service Desk Plus with System 2 plugin. Right. No need of installing both the agents, provided if you have the integration enabled. So if you're using Asset Explorer, you can use this option to integrate along with Desktop Central. And after the integration, you can depend on Desktop Central's agent to manage the operations in Desktop Central as well as Asset Explorer. So you don't have to have separate agents for Asset Explorer. Okay. Right. So question number 2, when you add a program to a prohibited software list, does it take all the versions of the software into account? Not actually, because this prohibited software is based on the specific version. So I can go here, I can show you that. So if I'm going to add a prohibited software, so this prohibited software is based on the specific version. So what if I'm limiting or the usage of a specific version and the new version of the application are allowed to be used? So in that case, you need to update the prohibited software list every time if there is any new version of that specific application is released or available in your network. So let's move further. And so if the software that you want to prohibit is not installed in your network, how can I block it using Desktop Central? Okay, so we have already seen this. So we can use the block executable option. You can add a policy. And you can use. So as I told you before, if the application is not installed in the operating system, you'll not be able to generate a report out of it, and you cannot add them as a prohibited software. So the only option is you can add the exe name, and you can block the execution of the exe by the 2 available methods that we discussed before. Right, question number 4. On the inventory report of the computers without specific software, how to specify filter criteria and schedule them? Okay, yes, this is also another useful question. So you can go to reports and you can go for schedule reports. So as I told you before, if I wanted to schedule any report, I can go for inventory report. I can choose multiple reports also, and I can use this criteria over here by using this plus symbol, and I can add my own criteria that I need. So this will help me to add more criteria. So automatically, this scheduled report will filter the reports based on the logic that I have set, and it will be sent to my email. So this is the answer for this question. Okay, question number 5. The Stop Central has the ability to detect the product key for each software license. Yes, of course, we do have option for that. We even generate a report out of it. So you can go to inventory reports. You can use this option called software product keys, where we will generate and detect the product keys for that specific application as well as the operating system, and you can export this as a report as well. Okay, so hope you all enjoyed the training. So here we have come to the end of the training today. So please do share your feedback and rate this on a scale of 1 to 5. So where 5 being the best. And if you like training, you can spread a word in the social media using this hashtags. And also, this is the next training schedule. Please join the next training schedules, which will be on remote control and other functionalities related to it. And we're also conducting a seminar on endpoint security and GDPR, which is to be conducted on Dublin tomorrow. So if you're interested, you can register for this using this below URL mentioned here. Okay. So apart from this, we're also conducting personalized demos for you. If you're interested in the product, if you wanted to have a personalized demo, you can let the technicians in the chat know about it. They will help you in scheduling the demo for this. Right. So I hope you all enjoyed the training today. So thank you all once again for joining in your busy schedule, and have a very nice day. Thank you.